I once had to help a human task force that was pacifying an area of pirates. They were launching raids against some of their local shipping. These were just some poor bastards trying to scrape a living on the edge after one of the human caravans ended up sinking the local economy after arriving in the system. But it was apparently enough to warrant a response. Pressure was placed on the council to be allowed to intervene, and naturally they caved. Still, they always paid well, and we were sought out for being both local and having a small gunship squadron. It always seemed odd that, for all their advancements, they never brought much of a ground force. I suppose migrating across the galaxy means you never really invest in anything that would require permanence. So anyway, the humans roll up with a few of their patrol craft, then hang about in orbit, while we wait for their force on the surface. The odd thing was, they sent maybe 4 guys to clean out this entire area. Now humans were a force to be reckoned with for sure, and I'd heard the stories, but even for me it felt that 4 was far too slim a number for what must have been thousands of these so-called pirates. It's not like they were heavily armed or armoured either. But they didn't pay me to think or ask questions, so we boarded the light atmospheric craft they requested, and started to fly towards the area. About 10 kilometers out from the nearest pirate sightings, my human called to the ship to stop mid-air. Sat in the middle of nowhere, hovering about, just asking to get swatted out of the air by some long-range AA, but the human insists, so we slow down to a hover. I was right by the door, so I took a cursory glance over to see them poke their head out to look over the area. His eyes flicker across the landscape, before stopping, and then blinks before clambering back inside. That entire area was reduced to glass in an instant later. The whole ship shuddered from the blast wave, as though the hand of the gods had simply swiped away existence in the area, and everything was moving out of the way in an attempt to escape their wrath. We must have done that at least 7 times, drifting near a spotted area before removing it from existence, or in the blink of a fucking eye. The reality is a little more disappointing than the fear we cultivated on that gunship that humans simply willed destruction through sight alone, though perhaps just as troubling. They had sent these spotters, who were essentially walking around with a naval battery's worth of neural optics and communication equipment in their heads to instantly relay targets to their patrol ships in orbit. They only need us to give them an aerial platform to spot from accurately, and that we were only hired as a group so that the locals would be focused on the possible ground attack, rather than worry about being blitzed from orbit and possibly putting up defences, like they would have had any chance at all. That it was also cold and cynical should have been the worst part, but that would imply a modicum of understanding or rationality about that wholesale slaughter. The same kind of coldly calculated reasoning cyborgs or AI employ, but no. It was the laughter. The maniacal laughter from that uncaring god of death whose gaze reduced life and matter to ash and glass, in the literal blink of a fucking eye. Fucking humans.